Hello, all you beautiful drywallers out there in drywall land, and welcome to a provincial episode of the Drywall Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Harmon. With us today for his second appearance on the show, Shawn Fawcett, out of Toronto, joins us to discuss parks in Canada, the company Huepar, and all things sober, but also finding himself a bit out of his comfort zone that one time in China.
You know, I'm sitting at a table with some guys that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, and I'm kind of like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And just kind of picking their brains, talking to them, and then it's just one of those things, kind of like sobriety, where it's just like, well, if he can do it, then I can do it, you know? And you have that mindset, right? And you have to invest yourself a little bit more into it. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do, is just, maybe invest myself a little bit more into it and take it a little bit more serious.
We talk about the risks of posting on social media and opening yourself up to criticism. Of course, we talk about China and the company Huepar and how being picky isn't always a bad thing. Fozzie is a great guy, and if you didn't catch his last episode, I know you are going to enjoy this one. Today, we would have had to say farewell to our fair friends and sponsors, Mudskip, for sponsoring the Drywall Podcast in the month of October, but I've got a little surprise for you. Those crazy kids are doubling down and have agreed to sponsor the Drywall Podcast for the month of November as well. As I've stated, they've been huge proponents of Fresco Harmony and the Drywall Podcast and have supported what I've been up to ever since I interviewed Sheila Cross way back on episode 120. It's good. You should check it out. I'm also excited because Mudskip is a product I use, and I was actually using it today. No joke. I seriously was. I'm covering some atrocious texture, and a little scoop of their level 5 smooth gave my batch of Fresco Harmony the extra girth it needed. I swear, I'm addicted to the crap. And now I have to have it in every batch of Fresco Harmony that I mix. I've also heard some amazing feedback from countless industry leaders that I trust on social media who use Mudskip and are skimming walls with the product as well. I'm happy to personally answer any questions you may have about Mudskip, but don't take my word for it. Find out more by visiting www.mudskip.com, or you can ask me questions by emailing me at info@frescoharmony.com. But for now, a man who needs no introduction, but I introduce anyway, Shawn Fawcett, Signature Finish Renovations, out of the Toronto area, on his second appearance of the Drywall Podcast, episode 151. Let's get into it. Yeah.
There we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Nice.
What kind of gear are you working with over there? Just iPhone?
Just the iPhone, and then I did one of my little microphones, and I was like, maybe that will help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it sounds great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, I figured you had some gear. I've got these.
Yeah, DJI.
Sorry. Whatever.
However you say it.
I've used them a couple of times, but I always find that I think you were moving around in the last episode we did. You're moving around now. Some people when I interview them, they're like they're walking around and shit.
Yeah. Give me. I'm going to be situated in 2 seconds.
You're fine, man. You're fine. I'm just giving you crap. But I've used them a couple times. I like them. I just I can't figure out like how to use them properly, because it's like I just want to pull out my phone and do like things when I have my phone. It's hard to like set up the audio,
Yeah.
It takes time to stop, and then it's kind of like I've lost the moment.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah, it's more or less with me. It's more or less like remembering to bring them and use them, and like the little microphones and stuff, and
Yeah. I
and
have them. I have them. You just got to stop. You have to stop what you're doing and
yeah,
like I have a creative brain and the inspiration will strike and I'll be like, oh, I got to do it. I can't wait to for
yeah,
the and maybe I should just slow down. I don't know.
yeah. And it's funny though. I brought them out into Algonquin with me. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just use them out there. And it is so
Sure.
quiet out there that like you don't even
You
you
don't
don't
need
even
them.
need a microphone. What a waste that.
Algonquin. I mean, there's a lot we can talk about. I want to preface with I met Shawn at I believe it was a Black Friday event at CSR. It was I mean, and stop me if I'm wrong, our first interview was December 2023.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I met you at your fresco event though. You were doing
Okay.
the first fresco event that you did at CSR.
That was a challenging one because of the snow.
Yeah, you had flight delays and all kinds of stuff, right? And
Yeah, we only made it on I was supposed to train on Thursday and Friday, and I didn't even get there until Thursday night at like 11 o'clock.
yeah,
And we did the training on Friday, and I had like 5 hours of sleep. And that was also the opening of the Barrie location for CSR.
yeah, I think that you guys went afterwards and
Yeah,
hung
they
out
had
at the store for a while or something.
they had like a soft opening and some food, and we get to check that out, which is gorgeous. If you haven't seen the Barrie CSR location, it's really cool. So then you and I did episode 77 so long ago. And I remember what struck me was that you were broad in your expertise of different things, not just drywall, but you can frame and do all kinds of stuff. You've dabbled with Fresco Harmony. We talked a little bit about that. So if you want to catch Foz, as he goes by, Shawn Fawcett, if you want to catch his first episode, it's episode 77, and it's a really good episode. I thought you did a great job.
Yeah, it'll be fun comparing the two to see how things have changed, right?
Well, and you are a part of the elite two-timer club. So you've been on the show two times now, which is kind of cool.
Yes, thank you, Nick.
It's a small group that's growing.
Yeah.
Because I want to follow up with people and want to see what you've been up to, and you've been up to a lot. You're going to like Japan or China or
Yeah, China. It was China. Yeah.
Okay, so China. You
Yeah.
know? And like tons of stories, and to rep the product. How do you say
Huepar.
it? Huepar. Yeah. So
Huepar lasers.
they
Yeah.
reached out to you. We want to talk about that. All of the camping stuff, which I can relate to, and you and I have
Yep.
talked about. So a lot of camping videos. But yeah, Algonquin. That's what it is called. This is a forest.
Yeah,
In
it's a national park, or what we call them provincial parks here in Canada, but in the States you would call them a national park, right? And
Why do they call them provincial?
it's just like how the government, it's like, right? Like you guys are federal and we're, provincial, whatever, right? That's just the
Okay.
terms or whatever, right?
It's just a
Because
term.
we have a province, right? So we have a province and it's provincial. I don't know. Yeah, but it's a beautiful provincial park here in Canada that you can
I'm
go
sure.
camping at.
I didn't know that. So that's a fun fact of the day. We're ignorant down here in the United States. We barely recognize that we have these awesome neighbors to the north called Canadians. But hopefully, the Drywall Podcast is illuminating this beautiful, massive, area just to
Yeah,
our north called Canada. It has provinces and it has provincial parks.
yeah. The podcast is going to be the peacekeeping of it all.
I hope,
Yeah,
man.
I hope so too.
And our English friends, and now we got Scottish people and Irish
Yeah, man. Like
people,
the
and
journey that you've just been on recently was pretty cool too.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit as well. I've had sort of a hiatus from the podcast. We had the pearls of wisdom. I sort of snuck in there while I was sort of cruising around at GWI. Shout out to those guys. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But Algonquin, this is now. Would this be one of the premier parks up there, or forests, provincial forests?
I would say close to Toronto. It is, yes.
Okay.
And there was something cool that I encountered. So I spent 3 weeks in Algonquin recently. I spent two of them back to back, and then one of them was just last week with a backpacking trip. But on the first week, I was coming out and I met up with these canoe guides, and they were just shuttling kids to the camp.
Now, wait,
And
you're going out backpacking solo, correct?
the first, yes, but I tried to. The first 2 weeks I did portaging. I were solo, and then this past week I actually had a buddy come with me, and we backpacked in, and then we chilled out we actually bushwhacked like crazy throughout the week.
Saw
But
that. That's a bitch. What's
yeah.
portal? Portal?
Portaging, yeah, portaging.
Portage. Portage. What is that?
So basically, it's just backpacking, but with a canoe or a kayak, right?
Okay.
So instead of like backpacking, you're pretty much start point, end point, and you get there, or most people will do loops.
Mm-hmm.
Portaging is you have like you pretty much like are hopping lakes, all right? So you paddle
Oh,
across the lake, and then you get out, and then you carry your gear usually, and then you come back for your kayak or canoe, and then you carry that in one go. And the portages are only like, I don't know, they can range from like 300 meters to like a kilometer to 2 kilometers long, right? So
right. Okay. That sounds awesome.
yeah,
From a backpacker.
yes, it's to be honest with you, this last trip I was like kind of saying to myself a few times, like, I'm never doing backpacking again. I'd rather just portage. It's so much better, you know. But then there's pros and cons to both of them, I would say,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, packing that damn boat. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. I mean,
you're dealing with a boat the whole time.
yeah, like my kayak is 65 pounds, so you know, but
Yeah.
you can get super light stuff like kayaks and canoes like 30 pounds or something. And I
You can
watch
get
guys.
blow up. You can get blow up. We've considered taking blow up because we'll go into lakes sometimes. We consider taking blow and we'll fish. You
Yeah,
know, this last one would have been really awesome to have a blow up kayak, because we hiked up to a lake that was at like 12,000 feet. But I mean, we were just like dragging fish out of these poor fish.
oh
We were
man, did you eat
it
some?
was, yeah, we kept seven and we ate them
Awesome,
all, man. We cooked them on the fire and yeah, we had a feast.
nice. That's awesome.
My stepdad did the Baja down the Sea of Cortez. He did that.
Wow,
He kayaked down because you can go like from town to town, and he did like 3 months
that's wild, man.
portaging as it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always sounded like really awesome to me. They got into sailing later on. My mom and him sailed, and they lived up in Juneau, Alaska, and they
Oh
did some
wow.
sailing and stuff, which also is attractive to me. But this last trip, you did portage and hiking. Was the 2 weeks was the portage though?
Yeah. So I did a week, and then I got out of the bush, and Sarah and I had a cottage rented, and then I like recharged, refueled, and then I went
Okay.
back into the bush the following week. So I try
Yeah.
to like stay away from weekends because it's really really busy. So I'll
Okay.
usually go throughout the week. Like I'll go like Monday to Friday or Monday or Sunday to Friday, and that way I'm avoiding a lot of the crowds on the trails and the campsites, and it's just a better time, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then yeah, then I came back for a week, worked, and then I did and the backpacking trip actually is actually for my sobriety. It's for
Yeah.
my anniversary. I
Okay.
started doing that, and I was like, you know what? Every single year, I'm just gonna book this 1 week backpacking trip. No matter what I'm doing, I'm just gonna book this. It's right after Thanksgiving, and it's just my time to reflect. And it was kind of nice having my buddy with me on this trip a little bit, but there was moments where I wanted to really just be like in that solitude and reflect on my sobriety, but it was also just nice having him because we ventured pretty good and I had a
Good.
lot of fun throughout the week, right? So
Yeah, we go with like 8 dudes. Like, we're
yeah,
constantly like giving each other shit and, this last one was pretty smooth, but generally somebody gets pissed off. We went with like three brothers, and they'll like fight. And
yeah,
it's just part of we've been doing it for 10 years though, so we're
yeah.
kind of
Well,
like
and
it's
that's it. You
old
got to be
hat.
comfortable with who you're going with out there because you're
Yeah.
stuck with them in a way, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
a little
I
bit.
mean, I don't mind company, but I do genuinely prefer to be out there by myself, 100%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because like I'm passing guys on the trail, and like on the way in on the first week, the one guy was like, "Man, I don't know how you do it by yourself," and I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like you're out here right now, like you are." I get this conversation when I'm talking to someone that is not out here, but you are out here right now. So how do you fathom? And so I responded to him. I was like, is it because of the chores? Like, is it the daunting task of the chores and like doing all the work, or is it just being spooked? And he's like, oh,
Nah,
it's a bit of,
yeah, loneliness. I
yeah,
mean,
he's like
it's
a bit
it's
of
fun to
both. And
be
I
out,
was
it's
like,
fun to be out there with the guys, I think the same way. I see because we see people that are out there soloing it all the time. Even women will be
yeah,
out there. We'll see last one we saw a couple women. There was like three that were together, which is smart. But yeah.
yeah. I love doing it by myself, getting that solitude and that just like entirely peace and quiet. Because I'll even go to the extent where I only stay at lakes that only have one campsite. Like I do not want to see any other campers. I do not want to see another fire on the lake.
Yeah, me too. Me
I
too.
want to be completely by like in my own oasis, like
And if you're listening, it's backpacking is a way to do that. You can go car camping, stay in your car next to a bunch of people. There's no shame in that too. If people are getting outside, like go get outside and experience
yeah,
the
yeah, exactly. Just
outdoors.
get out.
But to get away from people, you got to hike. We went on like it was Labor Day or it was a US holiday and so or whatever it was a Memorial Day or Labor Day, one of the two, and there were people out there, but normally it's when you hike that far and there isn't too many people, but we don't mind seeing a couple people. We
Yeah.
saw these badass hikers. I mean, we gained like 6,000 feet of elevation in 2 days. And there were
Wow.
people that did that in one day with these like 20-pound packs, like, like ultralighters that are just cruise and do these giant loops. It's pretty weird.
Yeah. It's wild. Like to sometimes to think that you are like pretty into it, and then you meet someone that just like kind of chin checks you and brings you like those canoe guides that I was talking about there for a second.
Yeah.
They I started talking to them, and like the one guy's from California. His
Hmm.
uncle like ran the camp, and but he was even saying like, man, there's nothing. And I don't know, like, I mean, I like to think that there's things in California, but he was even like, man, there's nothing in California that compares to Algonquin. Like, just like the
Oh,
size of the
wow.
park and like the trail, like where you can go in this park, like, there's nothing that compares to it in California. But these
That's
guys go
bold.
out for,
Bold statement because I've
yeah,
seen
I
some
was like, what did you
beautiful
just say? I was
places
like, man,
because you
like,
got
you guys got,
redwoods,
yeah,
the coast, like redwoods, Big Bear,
yeah,
like
that's what I was thinking. Like, the
all kinds
redwoods
of stuff.
alone, right? Like,
Yeah.
just the redwoods alone. But he was saying that they go out, get this, they go out on 37-day trips with kids from 7 years old to 15 years old. They take them on 37-day long trips out. And then, so again, like, I'm sitting there all like high and mighty, like I'm like, oh, I'm spending 2 weeks out here. Like, and then these guys are like, oh, yeah, like we get paid to be out here for 37 days. And I'm like, Okay, tell me how. Like how do I get this job?
Yeah.
Like,
There was trail clearers up on the trail that we just did. It's the Wiminucci 30-mile trail, which is pretty barren. There's moose, there's this is in Colorado, but there's dudes that go out. Well, there's also guides, hunting guides that'll take people out, but there'll be dudes that go out and stay out there and clear trail.
sign
And
me up. I've always said that.
they just get paid to be out there, like they got like a mule and a horse, all their gear, a couple of badass like hand saws, because I don't think you're allowed to have
The chainsaws?
chainsaws. So they have these monster two-person hand saws with like these giant teeth, and they'll like rip through a log like nobody's business.
No
You
way.
know, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so I
pretty
mean,
cool.
I actually said that. I said I'm actually going to start looking into like trying to become like a trail maintenance guy for Algonquin and just like
Yeah, there you
rebuild
go.
trails. Like just send me out there, pay me, and I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
happy.
and you could document. You do a lot of documenting when you're out there, which is really cool. So you've been getting better, would you say, at documenting and videography?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that happened kind of in China a little bit too.
Yep.
I'm sitting at a table with some guys that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, and I'm kind of like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Uh, and just kind of picking their brains, talking to them, and then it's just one of those things, kind of like sobriety, where it's just like, well, if he can do it, then I can do it, and you have that
Yeah.
mindset, right? And you have to invest yourself a little bit more into it, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do is just maybe invest myself a little bit more into it and take it a little bit more serious. But I will say it's a big mind game, and it's really discouraging sometimes. You put
Yeah.
hours and hours into a video and it hardly performs, and then you do one right off the cuff, and you're like, oh yeah, just whatever, I'll post this straight, and it performs way better, and it's just like what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember you had like sort of a shift, and stop me if I'm wrong, where you got really pissed off. You were like, fuck everybody, fuck you haters, like and I saw it. I remember, and you were like, I felt like you shifted, and you were like, and you just started posting your shit and not really caring, but you had to go through this. You had to go through this like crucifixion before you decided to do that. Is that true?
yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I did have that. I remember that one post on the winter, and yeah, it was just like, I don't know. And it's funny though, because I did dive into it a little bit, and a lot of those comments were coming from Facebook. So it really, I don't know.
Right,
I guess
right.
it's just how things get put out there
Hmm.
and whatnot. And some people are like, oh, they're bots, and some people are like, oh, well, just let the comments be like bad comments are good for your page as well as And
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, but I ain't going to let this guy just talk this shit, like I ain't about that, like like it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, like, and this is the thing that got me. It was like, hey, you're going to talk shit. Better make sure your plate is fucking clean. And I go to
Yeah.
these guys' pages, and it's just like some horrendous ass work, and it's like, man, like out of
Yeah.
out of anyone, like, okay, like there's certain people that will say shit to me and I'll take it because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I know your resume, I know what you're
Yeah.
capable of doing. But when I go to some random person's page that's piping off, and then I'm like, and I look, and they're like stacking joints of vinyl flooring, or like, you got 1 inch grout lines in a tile shower, and they're claiming that
Yeah.
that's their like top notch work. It's like, buddy, like, I mean, maybe it says a lot why they are the ones that
Yeah.
are piping off
Delete
and,
yourself.
and
Delete
talking
yourself.
shit, right? But
I had a
yeah, then
guy. I had a guy I kept going toe to toe with on some of the Facebook groups. The drywall, a plaster guy. He's all about the plaster. Every time I post anything about Fresco Harmony, oh, you're just dumping color into mud. Oh, that's the colored mud guy. All this stuff. And I invited him on the show. I was like, come on. Like, let's have a
That's
debate.
very big of you. That's very big of you.
Like, I'll sit here and go toe to toe with any plaster person about Fresco Harmony any day of the week. So if you're out there and you're a plaster person, you're listening, and you've maybe been curious about Fresco Harmony, or you think plaster is way better, I am happy to have you on the show and go toe to toe with you and talk and have a discussion about it. This is George Costanza. It's a society we're living in. But he didn't. Not only did he not come on the show, but I went and looked at some of his work, and he's just like, every time somebody posts anything about plaster, he's right there because he's the quintessential expert. And if you go to his page, it's just like, it's just
mediocre,
and it's so bad that I'm just like, I feel bad, like, even like being mean to this person, because whatever, just let him be an idiot. But you had so maybe because of this, by fire, you rose out of the ashes like a phoenix.
Well, and I think I truly embraced the whole, like, you just gotta not give a fuck. Like, yeah, I don't care what other people think, right? In a way, I hope they like it, because that's what you're banking on when you make a post or put any effort into some kind of editing. But yeah, you just gotta, like, kind of not care, in a way where you're just showing yourself and you're showing, like, no bullshit, just real, so I don't know, maybe that's part of it. But yeah, now I find I have a hard time balancing between, like, work posts and then, like, my camping, like, wilderness posts, and then, like,
do you have two pages?
Yes, I do have two pages. The wilderness post one is the page isn't. It's got like a few hundred people that have decided to.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, I try to keep it similar.
Okay, so you have Fozzie. You have your work page. What does that handle?
So this one is Fozzie Carpenter 22, and it's like everything. Then my work page is my company name, which is Signature Finish Renovations. Okay. And then my wilderness one is Into the Wild Fozzie 22.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's like my idol, into like Christopher McCandless. Into the Wild. He, like, if I could aspire to be someone, that would be him. Like, I really look up to that guy. Just how he lived.
Except for he should have been more prepared when he went up into Alaska. He should have been more educated, I don't think he wanted to die, but if you watch my last video, I go with these dudes that are really Martin especially is phenomenal with, like, berries, and they know a lot, and we're eating, like, there were High Mountain raspberries and these other berries and rose hips and a lot of stuff out there. One of the dudes saw bear up there, but they're really knowledgeable about even a root that has healing qualities and things like that. And it's on my personal page, so if you're interested, on my YouTube Nick Harmon page, you can watch all the hiking videos that I do. I do videographies of all the, and they're pretty good. I don't promote it a lot. Like, it's for my family, it's for myself, but we talk a lot about wilderness. It's interesting to me. And if you don't know the story of this Christopher fellow, it's called Into the Wild. There's a movie, there's a book, and he eats the wrong berry and it just fucks him up. Yeah. And he dies out there. He tries to get out, and he couldn't get across the river. The river had risen, and he just sat out there and died.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, but he died, doing what he loved and where he was, like, probably happiest. And I mean, it's definitely, watching that movie and reading that book, like, completely changed my life in a way. And probably is half the reason why I am the way I am, going to Algonquin by myself and stuff.
Huepar. How did you get hooked up with these guys? And why Huepar?
Yeah, so basically, like probably going on 8 years now ago, I was working at the custom home builder at the time, and framing. And when you're doing back framing, it's just really nice to have a laser going. And I was making okay money, but not like the best, and I didn't really have $800 to buy a brand new DeWalt. So there was a gentleman on site that had this Huepar laser. I remember walking by it, I was like, what kind of brand is that? I've never seen that before. And he was telling me, and he was like, you can get it on Amazon, right? And this guy was the king of Amazon. Like, he had everything, every tool, no name. I'm like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I checked it out, and then I think it was actually at lunch that I was like, hey man, can you like bust yours out, and then we'll compare it to the other guys' lasers over here with the DeWalt's and the Bosch, and see how it compares. And it was like very similar. So that night I went home and bought one, and then I was just skeptical on longevity.
Sure.
And and then it performed. Like, my first laser lasted me like 4 years, and it wasn't even like it like falling apart. It was just the battery wasn't holding a charge. And like, I mean, that's kind of like it's like your cell phone. You get like 4 or 5 years out of and then your phone starts to lose its hold.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I was like, kind of okay, let's buy another one. Like, I'm just gonna, and the impressive thing was like there was only $200, right? So instead of spending $800 on a 360 laser, I could buy one for $200 and be able to perform, like independently on site with my laser, and so yeah, that was a big thing. And then anyways, I bought the second one, and then I just kind of made some videos and sent them to them every once in a while. Like,
you would reach out to Huepar?
Yeah, make a video and send it to them. And
which page? Your Sig Reno?
Oh, my Fozzie. Like, I pretty much work under Fozzie, and that's the one you can catch me on the most. And then like Signature is just to have like all my work, and then like the Into the Wild is just strictly all camping. So but Fozzie is pretty much like my the central of I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I started reaching out to them, and just like talking to them, and then they were going on about, well, we're going to send you this. Are you able to do videos with it? And I was like, yeah, but I'm actually going to be. This is like this time last year. I was like, yeah, but I'm actually going to be in the bush, so I probably will receive it, but I won't be able to do anything with it because I'll be in the forest. So bear with me. And when I got back, I just had sent them like videos and pictures of where I was in Algonquin that last year, and they were like, "Oh, we would love to show you the mountains of China and like the scenery." I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. It would be cool," but didn't think much of it, right? And then And then they, then it was like this, I saw this thing where it was like, if you could kind of prove or show that you were a user of Huepar for, 6 or 7 years, you were kind of enrolled or into this like trip that they were doing.
Okay.
And I didn't think much of it. And
like you entered into a influencer sort of arena where people are using Huepar. They wanted, which is really smart of Huepar, they want loyal users, not just people sort of using the tool once or twice. They want like a track record, prove you've used the tool and that you love it, and we'll bring you over to China.
Yeah, and I think that's when, to go in with that is when I made a video talking about it's just me being me, but I'm like, okay, like I can actually stand behind this, right? Like, I'm not just saying it's good. I'm not just go buy one. Like I've used this for 7 years, and this is my story with it.
Yeah.
So when I made that video, that's when I think they were like focused more on that. Like, oh, let's find more long-term users like this guy.
They didn't care. Right? They didn't care that you were like had a gazillion followers and were made the fanciest videos. They liked your loyalty.
Yeah, they liked my loyalty, and they liked how I could have this like testimony about durability, quality, and just my overall, which is one thing that I brought to the table. out of all the guys that were on the trips, I was definitely the longest user out of all of them. Right.
There you
So
go.
I could kind of speak more about longevity
Okay,
and
so
things, right?
so they reach out to you and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna buy your plane ticket. You all expenses paid. You come to China. We're gonna show you the factory because you made a ton of content while you were in China. What part of China? And yeah, they all expenses paid, right?
Yeah, all expenses paid. That was funny too because they sent me a message and were like, "Did you get the email? Like, we need to know by Tuesday if you're going on the trip." And I was like, "What?" And at the time, my old email got hacked. My old email,
Okay.
and I was just like, and then I was like, "Oh shoot!" And then I sent them my new email. So then I looked, and I'm like, "Okay, so I gotta seriously think about plane tickets here." And then I like Googled plane tickets from Toronto to China, and it was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I immediately responded, was like, "I'm sorry, but like I would love to go, but I cannot afford." And they're like, "No, did you not get the email?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just." And they're like, "Well," so then I actually like read through the email, and I'm like, "Oh, like everything's." I was like, "How can I say no to
Beautiful.
this?
No
Like
shit.
how do you say no to this?"
Yeah, I'm
So
coming.
yeah, then at that point it was just like, yeah, sign me up. And then it
Yeah.
was just like a whole bunch of other stuff. Like I remember almost not even being able to go because like my passport was still valid for like 6 months. So I was like, oh, that's good. And then like a month before we go, they're like, yeah, you need a passport that's valid for longer than 6 months. So I had to like run down, and like then the postal strike was on here, and I had to pay extra hundreds of dollars to get my rush passport. And I'm like, oh my god, this is not going to happen, is it? And then even like getting to China was like, it was hard because
Yeah. Oh
China
yeah.
just opened up this visa free. So that's how we did this, where it was a visa free for 6 days.
Okay.
But there's some like loopholes around it and stuff, eh? And
Right.
like when I was leaving Toronto, they were like, "Where's your visa?" And I was like, "No, like I don't need a visa. It's visa free for 6 days." And like I had to call like a superior over, and like they like
Weird.
checked some things, and then they scanned me through. They were like, "Yeah, okay, fine, it checks out." And then even when I got to China, they were like, "Where's your visa?" And I was like,
Right.
"No." And I remember having to call Lisa, the owner of Huepar, and I was just like, "Okay, talk to this guy because I
Yeah.
don't know what's going." And she just talked to the passport customs guy, and then he just stamped my shit, and then I was on, and I was like, "All right."
Nice. Done.
Twice,
Cool.
both times it happened. But
Fun fact, I've been to Canton, China when I was in high school. Like
oh no way. So is that
yeah,
southern
yeah.
or is that yeah? No
I
way.
mean, it was close to Hong Kong.
Okay, so that's southern, yeah.
We stayed in Hong Kong and then we went to a remote part of China, played a little
No way.
soccer. Yeah, ran cross country.
No way. How did you like that?
I I was blown away by China. Like I was gonna ask, what was your initial reaction? It is so different than the United States.
Yeah.
How like I guess how did that experience? We can talk a little bit more about the experience, but how did that change you and your interpretation of like Canada and the United States and where you live?
I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me was the safety, and that had to do with the cameras, right? And I know people here are like, oh, like, it's an invasion of privacy, yada, yada. But like everyone has a Ring doorbell now. And yeah, but like no one screws around in China. Like the first day, literally, like
Well, they have harsher penalties too. To be clear, like if we
yeah,
were, they made it clear if we had brought any drugs, it's like life in
no,
prison or death in China. Like they don't fuck around.
no. But no, exactly. Like you don't want to mess around in China too. So, I mean, there is
No.
that kind of like best behavior, right? Like, I
Yeah.
remember the UK boys, they were like, we were leaving a restaurant one night and the one was like, "Oh, I just got to take a piss." And I was like, "Yeah, man, look, you should probably just wait till we get back to the hotel." Like I know like back home in the UK, you go down the alley and but not
Uh-uh.
here. I don't and he did and I was
Yeah.
just waiting like after that I was just waiting for like a van to pull up and like him
Right.
be
Just
taken
take him
off.
to jail.
Yeah.
Well,
But like
they
it
and
didn't happen.
spitting on the sidewalk too. They like warned us like
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
do
even
not
in Hong Kong,
spit.
like in Hong Kong, like you couldn't even, like you have to go to certain designated spots to smoke, right? Like if you get caught smoking anywhere that's not a designated spot, it's like, and it's a healthy fine. Like when I Googled the fine and then did the transfer rate, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not paying that, and I'll just make sure I find my designated spots to have my smokes, you know? So
yeah. And
but I found the safety to be really amazing. Because like even Lisa, we were at this restaurant, we were eating lunch, and then my phone was dying, and I was like, oh, I need a charger, or like I should get a charger or something. Forget what I said. I need to charge my phone, and she was like, oh, they have like vending machines where it's like phone chargers. And she just like leaves her purse on the table, and she starts walking. I was like, where are you going? And she's like, to get you a phone charger. She's like, come on. And I was like, what about your purse? You're just going to leave this here? And she was like, yeah, like it's fine. And I was like,
yeah, if somebody takes it, they're going to cut off their hands. So
yeah, like, you know, and she even said like, there's so many cameras around. Like, I just need to report it to the police. And like, and then, you know, then they'll track it and find out where this guy, you know, they'll have it all on cameras. But then the flip side to that is also like where we were parking, and it was a very hairy situation where like there was only room for like one car, and there was another car coming down, and like Lisa was getting a little flustered, and I was just like, you want me to do it? And she was like, do you mind? I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I got in the, you know, and start driving, and and manage the situation. She's like, you're pretty good. I was like, yeah. And then after that, she just starts handing me the keys to her Mercedes, and I'm now driving around China, right?
Oh, like, wow, cool. Yeah. They drive on the
same side.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm watching all the cameras pop off as I'm driving, and I'm like, and then it wasn't until the lady that works for Huepar, she is from China but lives in the UK now.
She's like, you got 200 traffic tickets because this guy's
I didn't even know if I was going to be able to leave China, because like I like Lisa's like, oh, it's fine, it's good, right? And then I'm like, hey Zelda, like do I need a special license to drive her? She's like, yeah, Shawn, I don't know why Lisa is letting you drive. I was like, oh. And all I'm thinking in my head is like all the cameras popping off and stuff, right? And I'm like, and I was sweating when I went to go leave. I was just like, I was waiting for them to be like, declined. And like, here is 1 million billion gazillion dollars in tickets, you know, or something, right? But it didn't happen, and it was good. So
excellent.
That was a cool experience, actually, driving around in China. That was pretty cool too.
Very cool. And if you're listening, Foz does do drywall. We're not talking about, if you want to listen to more about our drywall conversation, the episode 77, we talk a lot more about drywall. This is sort of a catch up. Now, this is more for your framing and these types of tools. How has the drywall been recently? Have you been doing some drywall?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
you don't do as much, maybe.
Yeah, I've been doing just like, I mean, I did that basement, which was start to finish, right? So like that's where I really thrive, when I'm doing like a start to finish, where I'm framing out the basement, then I'm drywalling, then I'm taping, then I'm painting, then I'm doing trim, you know, et cetera, right?
Yeah, so you're just doing everything. Yeah.
And that's where I really thrive. And I think sometimes when I'm doing projects like that, the drywall just gets mixed into the wash. You know, it's part of the process, and it doesn't get highlighted the same as some of the tapers that just tape every single day, right? So,
right,
you know, right. So like, but I mean, it was funny though. Like on this union job, like I got this really big warehouse job, and the unions, they taped it, and there were certain aspects of certain specs of the work that were the owner of the warehouse was able to delegate out to non-union companies, so myself. And you know, there were certain things that like I called out some of the tape. I called out these union guys. I was like, man, like they had scratches from their sand poles, and right after they sanded it, I go to prime it, and I'm like, what? I could see like tape bubbling. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? You know, and I'm calling out these guys, and they're like,
you were just painting.
Yeah, I was like I did the painting, the flooring, the trim, the tiling.
Okay.
I did everything after, but it was in the contract that the unions were doing the taping, right? But like
Okay.
because I can tape and I'm also passionate about anything I do, but
Yeah.
I was able to uh call these guys out on the quality of work that they were doing because I was like, I'm not
Sure.
fixing this shit. Like I'm not fixing their their fuck ups. This is like it's from their fucking drywall sander and it's all
Yeah.
scratched. I'm like, this is
What
just
was their
unacceptable.
reaction? What was their reaction to
Oh,
that?
he didn't like it. Like he didn't like me. Yeah, the one guy was like, I've been doing this for 40 years.
Sure.
I was like, so like what? Like I was like, expect this out of like a second year, not someone that's been doing it for 40 years. Why? Because you've been doing it for 40 years. Like you're able to just do a shitty job now. Like gives you this entitlement to do a shitty job and not care.
I like
And
it.
like we got into it and he was like,
Yeah.
oh, what do you? I was like, buddy, I've done a fair amount of taping and I would never fucking leave a job like this. It's called a fucking light and you light check your shit, man. And like,
Yeah.
I was like, now what? Now I gotta fucking fix your shit? Like I got paint over this? I was like,
Yeah. You have a real vibrant side.
yeah, I can, right? And then finally he came to me and was like, hey, like we'll fix whatever you want. And I was like, yeah, that's all I really wanted to hear, man. But like, and then they were going on about like I was delaying things, and I'm like, how the fuck am I delaying things like when you guys can't even do your job properly? Like, figure this out, right? But yeah, I mean, it was just funny though, because then there was like aspects of that job where then they could see that I could tape, and then when they caught on that I could tape, they actually started like treating me with some respect. Like this guy knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And it was kind of like. It was one of those moments where it was just like, who the fuck are you? And then it was like, yeah, okay, this guy had like, he, he's valid, right? And he knows what he's doing and he does a good job. And
maybe lead with that next time.
yeah. Well, it's just, and I was just more or less like, I was kind of just saying like, this is unacceptable. And like this, just like, I want this fixed. And then, for some guy to turn around and be like, you're never going to see that. I've been doing this for 40 years and you're never going to see that. I'm like, we don't have the lights on in here yet, man. Like, how do we know that the light's not going to hit the wall right there and show off your, you got tape popping off the wall. And like, why is the tape popping off the wall? Like, and you're going to sign that off on your bet, like, just leave it. Like, come on. Right. So,
yeah. So do any of the drywall companies, have you gotten reached out to? Have you gotten a few tools thrown at you or anything?
Wolfgang and I have, Wolfgang's always pleasant, and
Can-Am.
Wolfgang sent me Can-Am. He sent me some heads and stuff like that, and
okay,
and him and I would say are probably the closest out of all the taping companies. I don't think, again, I don't think I have that. Like, I think taping companies kind of just overlook me. You know? It was even like an example, like. I would love to try it, but the morph sanders. And a funny thing about that is I was trying to tell Can-Am to come out with, I try and tell Wolfgang to come out with that.
Okay.
And him and I remember him and I at the Barry show, like he walked over to another table and grabbed one of their heads, the sanding block heads. And we spent like half an hour figuring out about how we could glue in like one of his like little plastic clips to like accept the ball. And then like 2 years goes by and I see this guy morph sander pretty much created what I had visioned in my head.
Yeah,
and what I was
he's
trying
smart.
to tell Wolfgang to do.
James Wyhonig.
Yeah, and I actually reached out to him and was like, hey man, I just want to say like I think your idea is brilliant. I actually had this whole vision and tried to share this with Wolfgang, like, but like you executed and I honor you for that, right? And like
sure.
Applause, right? And he was kind of like, do you do much taping? And I was like, yeah, I do a fair amount. And then and it just kind of like ended, like, I think he maybe went on my profile and saw like I'm a mix of everything and was, kind of like, yeah, he's not my highlight reel or what, I don't know. But and I wasn't, and I'm not saying like I was expecting something free out of it or him to send like, hey, try this. But I guess maybe the credibility sometimes isn't there because they go to my page and they see I'm not just pumping out like, butt joint after butt joint coat, or seam after seam coat, or popcorn ceiling removal after popcorn ceiling removal.
Sure.
It's not
Do
there.
do you want to try a morph sander? Would you try it?
I mean, I would
You
love
haven't
to.
tried
I
it?
think
You haven't tried it yet?
no. You gave one to
Okay.
Bernie at the Black Friday event.
That was like a prototype. Like
Yeah.
he had sent to me after our show, and like that was when he was just getting going. That dude is doing phenomenal with marketing.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. It's
they're doing a good job.
Like, I'm sitting there like, how is it that we can flush out our corners and like, have all these tools to finish it, but like then we're stuck doing it like, like Ice Age freaking caveman style with one sponge. Like it just didn't make any sense to me that there wasn't anything on the market that was going to allow to speed this process up and still. Right. Even like the Merca kills me, right? Like the Merca, I mean, I have a Merca and I love it. But then when I get into the inside corners, I'm sitting here like, oh, now I'm back to making dust. Like,
I think James is like working on he's working on something for like getting into the corners.
Yeah, that would be the next step, right? Because like when I tell people about my Merca, I'm like, yeah, I'm like 95% dustless. I'm technically 100% dustless, but it's until I get into the corners and then I'm making dust, and I'm like, there's nothing I can, other than maybe buying one of the handheld Mercos, like like the little rectangle one, and then get into the corner. Mm-hmm. But you still got to try and sand the apex somehow, right? So like, mm-hmm. I don't know. It's baffling to me that we have like a Merca and it does a phenomenal job finishing and sanding. But then I'm making dust, and like when I go to the client, and I'm like, yeah, like some guys are like, oh, I'm 100% dustless. It's like, how? No, you're not. No, you're not. You're making dust one way or the other, and it's usually I'm willing to bet it's in your corners.
Even with Fresco, it's like zero sanding, and there's still mess. Like,
yeah, yeah. Well, you eliminate the whole sanding process, which is
kind of.
Well, it depends on I guess it depends on the user, right? Because some guys may want to sand their.
I know. My guy Jack would sand the shit out of that stuff, and I'm like, dude, there's techniques, man. I'll scrape, and then I mean, sometimes you can sand a little bit. It just depends. Yeah, it really depends.
Yeah,
but
it just depends on what the artist or the user is trying to achieve.
And I was saying the one thing that really appealed to me, that like. Just how you eliminated sanding out of it, or in theory, depending on the user. And we were going on about how, like, to the variety and like I don't know the proper wording, but just like how vast you can be with fresco, right? Depending on the user, what they see in their head. So some guys may want to sand it. But really, when you told me, like this eliminates sanding, I was like, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, right? Like,
thanks.
So that was one thing. Yeah, that was one thing that really appealed to me about Fresco at first. I was just like, this is just so brilliant, right? And then we were originally talking about like how, like how Morph has really evolved the sanding, and that's like, like at this day and age, why don't we have something that is dustless for our corners, right? Like, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because it's tough. It's tough to break into the industry. You have to be somebody completely brilliant like James with the Morph Sander. I'm extremely tenacious. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to break into the industry, any of that stuff. I had to try a bunch of different things because Fresco Harmony was so outside of the confines of mud and drywall that people have a hard time wrapping their brain around it. So it's been a challenge, but if I didn't stick with it for 20 years, like it wouldn't be here, and I'm still pushing, clawing, it's hard like that, but
you know what though? I think you're starting to get like on the peak, right? Like I think it's starting to really. I think it's really starting to climb, man. It is.
I think so.
It's just one of those things where it's just time, but it's a really brilliant product. It's easy to mix.
Thank you.
you've taken like a lot of like the human errors possibly out of it, right? Like you've controlled the mixtures, so like you've made it very user friendly and what you know what I mean, like play, like push play and go, right? And that's like there's just so many aspects to it that you've done a really good job. Now it's just like selling, as you always say, like selling those jobs to go, right? Right, and that can be a hard thing in itself sometimes, like just convince it, like you see it in your head, because I've worked with fresco, so I've seen it. I can see a wall and see what it would look like in my head, but then convincing the homeowner that hey, this is what you're going to be staring at all the time, like they need to get that vision in their head as well and be sold on it, right? To get right. So then some people are just very, like, I've learned over, I've had one client that wanted to paint, like she let her kids pick the paint colors, and I was like, good Lord. And then other people are just like, I want my whole house white, right? So like, it's just really the client, right? And that's what I always say when I'm working. Hey, listen, like, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what Instagram thinks, as long as you're happy. Like, if this is what, don't ask me if I would do this in my house, because I'm not you and you're not me. So is this what you see? Am I creating your vision, right? And that doesn't matter if it's trim, tiling, backsplash, fresco, painting, whatever job I'm doing, it doesn't matter what I think or Instagram thinks. It's the client that is going to be literally staring at it every day, right? So
I have these extensive conversations about sales all the time. It's not so much about application. I think it's easy. Anybody can do it. It's a sales, man. Plaster has been around. People are gun shy. There's a paradigm that you do your wall in paint and texture or paint and smooth finish, or you have to pay for this exorbitant Venetian plaster. It's hard, it's expensive. And so we're trying to thwart that paradigm and be like, well, this is just another option. I was telling, I got to work with like Chris Scott with, he's working with Tape Tech, and he's been working with some Venetian plaster products. And he got to work with Fresco at the last show in Dallas, and he really liked it. But the bulk of our conversation was around sales, but he also wants to sell the product. Like that's the roadblock. Anybody can go do a class. You can get the product. It's hard to sell, whether it's fresco or Venetian plaster. I mean, if you don't have to drop $1,000 on product just to get through the door, I mean, that cuts out a tremendous.
I also want to say something too. And not to drop $1,000 or $2,000 for a course, because these courses, these Venetian plaster courses have been presented to me, and then I look into it and I'm like, okay, I'm not paying $3,000 to learn how to do this. I just went to Nick's thing and it was free, and he sent me with a sample pack. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and we're gonna do more. We're gonna do more of those for sure. So
you make it very, like, you make it affordable, and like, it's not like you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I don't know. I guarantee you, if the first time I met you at that fresco event, if you were asking for $2,000 for me to attend, I probably wouldn't have gone, right? Because I'm like, I'm going to spend $2,000 on something else. People may think differently, but like, if you showed me a fresco harmony wall that was done a certain way, and you showed me a Venetian plaster wall, I would probably have a hard time telling the difference.
Yeah. And if you would have paid $2,000, it still would have been challenging to recoup that investment. Some people grab it and they sell the shit out of it, and some people, they'll do a little bit here and there. You did a wall in your house, but it's not something that you like. It's not something you crush it with, and not everybody does.
Still holding up. The backsplash is still holding up over the thing.
It ain't going nowhere.
I mean, I'm blown away because I haven't touched that with I haven't touched that with sealer since I did it like 3-4 years ago, and it's still beating water. So I'm like, this is
Love
wild.
it. You
I
did a
love it.
couple. You did a couple coats, though, right? Of sealer.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I did.
Yeah,
I did do a couple coats of sealer
that
there,
that
and I
helps.
probably should do another coat of sealer, but
Gravy.
I'm like kind of like, hey, if it's not acting up, then
Yeah, it's
I
fine. You
don't
could
know.
skim
It's
over
good.
it. You could skim over that and do a different color. Like if you're tired of it, you could do just,
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
fresco. I mean, that's the beauty. The versatility is just unmatched. I love
Yeah.
the fresco conversation. I love that you've done a little bit of it, little toe in there for Foz. Um, you've been up to some cool stuff. I appreciate your time. The I want to come up to Algonquin and like go out. I want to go kayaking from lake
Yeah.
to lake. That would be so cool. The Huepar stuff is cool. Congratulations on that. I hope you keep going. We do need to get an updated pearl of wisdom from you before we close out here. What do you got?
I was thinking about this yesterday, and I think I have like two
Okay.
or three,
Okay.
and my first two would be like sobriety related, right? Where one day at a time. Um, Anything is possible, right? One day at a time. Like, you can flip it too and be like, I'm just not going to do this for one day, or I'm just going to keep doing this for one day. But as long as you have the mindset of breaking it down one day at a time, it becomes less daunting and a lot of things become more manageable. Um, this shall too will pass. That's something that I think a lot of people need to think of at times. The good will pass, the bad will pass, the happy, the sad, all everything will pass, right? So appreciate the good when it's there, because you know that the bad, but it's all going to pass, right? So that helps me get through. But I think the biggest thing, my biggest pearl of wisdom is, hiking and nature camping related, and it's like just get out there and explore, right? Like just and the one big thing that I can speak to about this is when I was in Hong Kong, I had these hikes planned out, and some of the other guys that were on the trip, they were effing and odd, like, oh, maybe we'll go, and they wanted to go shopping, and I'm like, dude, like, you can go shopping anywhere in the world, but like, we're here, and like, there's some cool trails out there and some views and some nature that I am never going to experience at a shopping mall. But all the shopping malls I've ever been to look the same and feel the same, So when you have opportunities to go out and explore and really just dive into nature, do it and let your body unwind. I mean, like, the healthiest and the best I feel is when I come out of the bush, right? And you completely let your body unwind. You can breathe again. And I think it really does good for the soul. So I really encourage people to just get out and into nature, unwind, get grounded again, and just appreciate nature.
Love it. Shawn Fawcett, episode 151 on the Drywall Podcast. There's three handles: Fozzie, Carpenter 22, Signature Finishing, Renovation, and Into the Wild. If you are inclined and you want to go follow Foz around and see what he's up to next. Thank you so much for coming on the Drywall Podcast, man.
Hey, thanks for having me again, man. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
And then, by the way,
Yeah.
congratulations. Fozzie has 5 years clean and sober. That is a milestone, man.
Yeah.
Really, really big deal. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like another day now. It really does. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm at this point now where I don't even remember what it was like I remember what it was like to be hungover and
Yeah.
but like,
You don't have
you
to
know what I
go
mean?
back.
I don't remember
I
now what
remember.
to have, like, I just wake up and not drink, and it's just easy.
Yeah. It like
It's just-
I see it when I see people that are like drunk, it's almost like PTSD. Like I'm like, I don't miss that. That's like really scary. It's like actually scary, you know.
Sometimes it's kind of a nice reminder, you know, and I take it that way. But then I am somewhat genuinely concerned. Usually I'm just like, oh man, I can only imagine if he feels half of what I used to feel like, then I might, you know. But one thing I've learned though, like, it's just like I've had so many people reach out to me and be like, I have a problem, you know, and it's like, okay. And I can talk to them till I'm blue in the face, eh? And it's their decision at the end of the day. So they just have to really want to do it, you know? And that's the difference, you know, between like you and I and someone else is that we really wanted to just, and why we keep going, right? Like you're at, how many years are you at now? Like you're at, you're up there. You're like in
21.
Isn't it?
21.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Insane. Yeah. And because you fully made your mind up, right? You fully made your mind up. You made that decision for yourself.
I was like, fuck that. I'm done. Got in trouble. It was like, I'm done. I have this other shit that I want to do. It's important to me. And I think it's why I get to do what I do now is because I get to move through life with a clear head and a focus that is you don't have when you're putting that stuff in your body every day. There's that channel, that clear channel, like to source or higher power or God or whatever you want to call it is more profound when you're clean. And that is 100%. That is what I have a hard time. I would have a hard time trading up that and also the time. So there's these components of recovery that are help you stay clean and sober. Like, they're it's powerful
because your life and you wouldn't have. Yeah, you wouldn't have half of, and I know I wouldn't have like China, Huepar, my hiking, and my back. Like I wouldn't have any of those experiences if I was still an alcoholic, full of. And you probably can relate to that. Like you wouldn't have your company and everything that you're doing and your experiences if it wasn't for
just traveling to Europe for for a week, going to Italy, visiting the Come factory, visiting Dallas. And being on point with like all of the Tape Tech crew. Those guys it's a fantastic crew. They're not getting shit-faced every night. They're super focused on what they're up to. And I had to be focused as well. And so there's a responsibility. You get to like just be responsible and not be a derelict, I think if it's important to people to live fully.
I feel like I've wasted so much time being hungover and drinking that like I really tried to make the most of everything now, right? And that's why I push, like I go out into the bush and get these like full experiences because I don't know, maybe I'm making up for lost wasted time, but I'm also just really fully exploring and living in the moment of like, just head on, right? So right, there's a lot of wasted time when you're drinking and money, right, that way.
Love that conversation too, but very cool. Fozzie, round 2, man. It was a pleasure, dude. I'm proud of you. It's awesome what you're up to. Let's keep in touch. Have you gotten a Fresco shirt lately?
No, the last one I got I think was in one of the CSR buckets, the care buckets. Which was awesome that you did that too, man. That was super awesome. That like, I remember like the bucket showing up after the first episode I was on.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, I paid it forward too because you ended up giving me a tech dry at the event. Yeah, and then there was one in that bucket, and I was like, well, I don't need 2, so I was like, I'll just do like a little giveaway and like just try to give it, pay it forward, right? Like, because why do I need 2 of these, right? So.
Yeah,
I gave to Elise the drywall finisher. I gave one to her. So
cool.
Yeah,
she's awesome. Mm-hmm. All right, brother. You have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk very soon.
Yes, you have a great day.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, see you, buddy.
Huge shout out to Shawn for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today and for opening up the way you did. I think that your openness gives others permission to do the same, and you can also see how easy it is if you have an inclination to come on the Drywall Podcast. You can reach out to me directly at info@frescoharmony.com. Let's talk about it. I would love to hear your story, and our listeners would love to hear your story as well. Also, I would like to give a warm Drywall Podcast shout out to Mudskip for not only sponsoring the month of October as we come to a close, but also sponsoring the month of November. Stay tuned for some exciting giveaways and cool stuff happening with those guys in the month of November. Mudskip is a product that I use. I was using it today. I have this crazy texture job that I'm going over, and I'm using the level 5 smooth with each batch that I use. And when I add it to my mud, it gives my mud a little bit of girth so that it sits up a little bit better on the texture. Mudskip works differently for different people. I have talked to many different people about the product, and the feedback is always interesting to me. You should, if you're interested, talk to a couple people who've been using the product, especially people that are having good results. And you can find out more at www.mudskip.com. Also, be sure to catch my episode with owner Sheila Cross on episode 120 on the Drywall Podcast. It's pretty good. She's a badass, and it answers a lot of questions. I know you have a lot of choices when you head over to the radio to listen to something, whether you're at work or on your way to work or whatever. Today you chose the Drywall Podcast, and I am hyper appreciative to you for that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Join us next week as we have a person named Jeff Hayes, who's a huge proponent of Mudskip, but he's just a great guy, and he's really knowledgeable, and we talk a lot about the technical side of mud and various applications. He's also a painter. It's a really good show. So tune in for that. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, or if you're heading into the week, I hope it's a good one. And remember, keep drywalling.